Today on the Broadway Shuffle, why Texas Tech football will murder the Oklahoma State Cowboys and how Texas Tech basketball will fare against real competition. That and much more next on the Broadway Shuffle. Okay, episode 28 of the Broadway Shuffle. We are here. Oklahoma State week is finally upon us, and it is the Bowman Bowl. We were nervous that Alan Bowman was probably not going to make it to this game, but nonetheless, he is. So we do get a revenge game here in week 12 with Zyler, Clayton, and Conrad. I'm Brennan, and welcome to the Broadway Shuffle. Conrad, tell our listeners what they need to know about our channel and where they can find us.
Yeah, listeners, thank you for listening. If this is your first time to the podcast, we welcome you with open arms to the Broadway Shuffle. If you want the best free, good, quality Texas Tech content out there, you're going to come to the Broadway Shuffle. You can find us on our YouTube channel most of the time. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Check out all the links in the description below. Comment, like the video, make sure to subscribe to the video.
Yeah, and Zyler is working on a sick Discord for us soon to drop, but I'll leave it at that. Yeah, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we look forward to having you along this journey. Clayto, Alan Bowman, we get to face him. Favorite memory of Alan Bowman?
I don't.
What a question!
There's not a lot to pick from. Honestly, my favorite memory involving Alan Bowman is not really related to Alan Bowman himself doing anything, but the game against OU, whenever they had Kyler and Kyler threw 2 picks and like inside of his own 20-yard line, we were up like 14-3. I was like, bro, we're about to beat OU. And spoiler alert, we didn't, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. So I'll go with that as my favorite.
Yeah. Z, what about you?
Man, my favorite memory is when he won the national championship. I thought that was a really big moment for him in his career. I think he finished the game with 0 yards, but he's got that. Or no, he doesn't have a ring.
They didn't win. They didn't win.
Yeah. Imagine transferring and missing out on a natty. That is incredibly disappointing. No, favorite memory. I remember being pretty excited for him after the Ole Miss game when he started the season. He played pretty well, and he had a really good season that freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
I was decently excited about Allen. We all know how it kind of ended up, but yeah, probably that first game against Ole Miss.
Yeah, ironically enough, one of his best games was actually at the Cowboys in Oklahoma State. You won 41-17 in Stillwater that season with Cliff and Alan Bowman going into Stillwater. Conrad, I'm going to come to you for the Kool-Aid Factory. After week 6, we're 5-1, Texas Tech, the Kool-Aid Factory's humming. We beat Arizona. It looked like we were primed for a hype train of the millennium for Texas Tech football. Unfortunately, not to be, but nonetheless, we're here at 6-4, and we do have a flavor of the week. And I believe the factory is open. Can you speak to that a little bit and let us know what the flavor of the week is?
Yeah, so the factory closed down at a certain point earlier in the season. I don't want to dwell too much on that because it's a quite depressing time in our history. But the factory has reopened. It sold limited quantities, but it is fully back at operational capacity this week. We have a new flavor that is, in a sense, a tribute to Alan Bowman, because Alan Bowman, after 7 long years, will finally participate in his senior day. And he will be done playing football unless he goes to the NFL. The Cowboys could very well use him. You never know. The Dallas Cowboys, that is. So in honor of Alan
trade a
Bowman,
4th round pick for him.
Yeah, they really would.
They probably would. Yeah. They probably would. In honor of Alan Bowman and his hideous mustache, we are going to debut the flavor of the week this week, the Bowman Bomb. So you can place your orders in the comments below. You can let us know how many you want. I hear it's probably the best flavor we've had because it's honoring an individual that we have so many fond memories of and are looking forward to beating on Saturday. So Bowman Bomb, get it here at the Broadway Shuffle. Let us know how many you need, and we'll send it out to you before Saturday afternoon in Stillwater.
Yeah, and to be fair, Bowman wasn't really that bad for you. We're more just picking on the fact that he's still playing college football more than it's not like the Baker Mayfield game. He didn't really do anything great for your program or, do anything special to make us like hate him. The fact that he's on another team.
No.
It's been so long since he even donned your uniform. So, but nonetheless, it's still fun to pick on him. So we're going to do that. And we hate the Cowboys, so we're going to do that even more. So,
do y'all think he feels like he was wronged by Tech, and so he's got a lot of pent up anger and frustration that he's looking forward to taking out, or not? Because he kind of wasn't very good on the way out, so it's not like we did him wrong. I mean, he just wasn't a good player at the time he left.
I don't think he has a will.
So.
Cliff got fired too, so right? Yeah. That's when he left. Yeah.
No, he played a year with Matt Wells.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and that's when he got terrible.
The Matt Wells, who was David Yost, the Matt Wells, David Yost, Alan Bowman experience.
Yes,
that was not good.
The triple threat of the triple threat of the triple threat of top offenses in the country for sure, dude. I meant to say this. One of my favorite memories of Bowman, I think it was a West Virginia game. He had his punctured lung, and my mom was at the game with me and wanted to leave early, and so we're walking out, and Bowman is by himself. And at the time they had to walk through to go to the locker room, at that top of the south end zone era, and he is just wheezing, and no one's with him. I'm like, where are the athletic trainer? And he's just right in front of my mom and I, and he's like, he can't get it up. Dude, are they gonna let this freshman kid just die or this? It was wild.
Did you walk over to him like a good Samaritan and care for the poor young man, or did you just keep walking?
No, I just let him figure it out. I was like, Mom, let's go get some food. I don't know, but he obviously ended up okay. So it's fine. It was really weird.
West Virginia? Was it that game where he got sacked where the two guys just hit him right at the same time?
That was the game. I believe.
Oh man. I remember that being one of the more painful sacks I'd seen.
I felt bad for the kid. I really did. So anyways,
he's not a kid anymore, man.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's gonna be Goosehead's top insurance agent here come next January. So, anyways, we have a lot to get into tonight with Texas Tech basketball traveling to New York to take on St. Joe's and potentially Texas. But let's get in first to the actual football game. Z, I'll swing it over to you, brother. Any injury notes that we need to know on our end and on Oklahoma State's end before we kind of get into the keys of the game?
Yeah, only two. Actually, I have three things from the press conference. One, man, it's just so hard for me to dislike Joey. I see things where I'm like, man, it's a program going in the right direction, blah, blah, blah. And then I listen to him do a press conference and I'm like, dude, I freaking love this guy. I really do. I like Joey a lot. Big notes for us on the injury front, though. Javion Wilcox, the redshirt freshman safety who was kind of in line for some serious playing time, is now questionable. He had been listed as out all season. Only big other questionable items would be Jalen Conyers and Hudson, both questionable. Conyers with a neck injury and then Hudson with the foot. Joey mentioned that if Hudson is healthy, he's going to return punts. So that makes me think that he's trending toward playing, but we'll kind of see. OSU has probably had worse injury luck than you have. The two best players on their team, outside of Ollie Gordon, and easily the two best players on the defensive side of the ball, Colin Oliver and Nick Martin, are both out. Now, Nick Martin may suit up and give it a go, but I am very skeptical that he's actually going to play. Colin Oliver will certainly be out. Dalton Cooper, their best offensive lineman, the starting left tackle, didn't play against TCU. We'll see if he suits up and gives it a go this game. I'm saying questionable and leaning more toward doubtful. They also lost Cameron Epps to the year, and then Lyric Rawls, another really good safety for them, is also questionable. So I listened to Mike Gundy's presser. They're not going to be bowl eligible this year for the first time in a really long time. He set a really good standard there, and I love Gundy, dude. I love listening to him. I think he's really funny. He's really relatable. I know he irks people sometimes about the things that he believes, but he kind of says it how it is. I really appreciate what he's done, and he's been great for Oklahoma State. When I kind of look at this offense, yeah, go ahead, Brennan.
Oh, I was going to say, with Gundy, it's interesting because he's kind of who you've wished you've had. Oklahoma 100%. State, whether we want to admit it or not, has been the program that you want to be. Consistently 8-9 wins, playing for championships every other year, playing meaningful games in November, having a coach that's consistent, keeping the same scheme. It's as much as we don't like the Cowboys and think they've stolen everything from us and, use the guns up and all that comes with this rivalry. Gundy is kind of the epitome of who you wish you were. If that, is that fair to say, Clayton? Or does he go ahead?
I think so. I mean,
oh yeah, I mean he's kind of the model of what. Yeah, exactly what you said. I don't think I need to add too much. Never going to be the team that's top 10 in talent and just has overwhelming advantage. Just found a way through dozens of different coordinators dozens of different quarterbacks and has been really, really good for a really long time across a lot of different iterations of college football as a product. So, yeah, Gundy's really impressive to me.
Yeah. Clay, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I feel like recently there has been some cracks in the armor that you can see from their program, like kind of running Spencer Sanders out of town. I don't know what his name is, but the defensive coordinator that they hired with no D1 experience, that obviously has not worked out. I feel like in the last couple of years, there's been some questionable decisions, but I mean, no doubt you would take the last 10 years of what Gundy has given OSU for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, they've probably been the best non-OU Texas program in the Big 12 since, I mean, maybe K-State gives them a run, but I think they would have been the best. Maybe you take peak Baylor, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we've had too many down years.
Yeah. Because you had the Brandon Weeden years, the Zach Bryant year, even in 2008 when they came to Lubbock.
Rudolph years?
Mason Rudolph. Yeah. They were ranked 10th, I believe, when they came to Lubbock in 2008, and you smoked them. They played in the Big 12 title last year. I mean, they're trash this year. It's
2
one of
years
the.
ago.
No,
was
last
it
year.
No, last year they played Texas.
Yeah, and they got murdered.
Oh, you're right.
And they got murdered.
And they went 2
last
years
year.
ago, too.
Just 11 months ago, a
3
lot
years
of people on the same. Yeah, they lost to Baylor 3 years ago. So that's 2 Big 12 title games in 3 years they made it to. So that's one of the reasons, here as a Tech fan, we look at programs like that and go, why not us? And, it's another question we'll have to wait till next year to hopefully answer. So, okay, now you can go into the offense.
Yeah. As much fun as we make of Oklahoma State, they're 0-7 in Big 12 play. That was something I didn't even realize. So I started looking at Oklahoma State last week. That's shocking to me. I mean, they've never been there. This will be the worst season Mike Gundy's had in the Big 12 since I think the season he took over. This is still a pretty decent unit on the offense. I think they're a better unit than yours. Alan Bowman is fine if he's not pressured and he gets to throw on time and things have got to all kind of be going in the right direction for Alan Bowman to be good. He's kind of good situationally, like in certain moments. I know we're going to kind of go into his performance a little bit later, but he's fine. He is not awful. I wouldn't say he's awful. He's going to be able to compete with Barron. So take that for what it's worth. Gordon is still good. His line has just not been very solid this year. I don't know. It's been a weird year for Ollie. He's been banged up. It's kind of all over the place. I don't know exactly what's going on there. They do have 3 really, really good receivers, though. Brennan Presley is awesome. He'll probably be in the running for an all Big 12 team. I'd be shocked if he's not on there. He has been excellent for them. They also have 2 kind of big possession receivers, Dejon Stripling and Rashad Owens, both really physical, really big, deep threat receivers. Allen will chunk it up to them and hope for PIs, hope for big catches. Your cornerbacks are going to have to play well against those guys. These, I think it's probably the second best receiving core that you've played. It's behind Colorado clearly, and I think you can make a case that TCU's receiving core is better. Iowa State has maybe better top end talent, but these 3 guys are really good. They're good throwing the ball, 34th in the country on EPA per play, but heavily reliant on explosives. Not very good on a down-to-down success rate. They're bad on early downs, horrible on third downs. Average third-yard down distance is 7.08 yards, and then success rate is sub 45% on both passing and rushing. So this has been an offense that's predicated on explosive plays, and they haven't been hitting them very often. They've struggled to drive the field. They've struggled to convert in the red zone. It's been, kind of an up-and-down unit, but don't think that this unit's just going to go out there and put up 10 points. They are plenty capable of scoring on your defense. Any thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Yeah, Conrad, Zyler sounded like he just said Bowman and Barron in the same sentence in terms of Bowman being better. Is that correct? Thoughts on that, Conrad?
That's a heartbreaking thought that Alan Bowman could potentially play better than Barron could on Saturday. I tend to agree with Zyler there. We do tend to make opposing quarterbacks look really good when they play us. And so would it surprise me if Alan Bowman went out there and threw for 303 touchdowns against us and Barron didn't do that? No, not at all. It wouldn't. And I know that's going to be an unpopular opinion with some of our listeners, but it really would not shock me given your struggles at times on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, Sawyer Robertson, who's a fantastic player, played really well against you, and he played well, but you allowed him to play as well as he did because you played so bad. And so I do think there's a possibility that happens with Bowman. In terms of Barron, though, I think we've seen him at points be really good this year. I think we've seen him at points be really inconsistent. And you just really never know what you're going to get. Honestly, I fully expect an opening drive touchdown, and then I fully expect us to stall a little bit like we have, in the previous games. So would it shock me for Bowman to be better than Barron? No, it wouldn't. Clayton, do you have any thoughts on that? Would it shock you if Bowman came out? I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm just saying it wouldn't shock me.
It probably wouldn't shock me, but what I will say is Bowman, he might not be horrible, but he is the worst quarterback that you've seen since Sam Levitt,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Yes.
So it's been a
100%.
long time since we've seen a quarterback of his level. So you would hope that our defense looks better against him, which our defense has looked better in some cases over the last few weeks.
If you had to rank, the QB situations for this year, so I just say that so you don't have to judge individual talent at certain spots. Like UCF has had like 3 or 4 QBs. I think UCF and Utah clearly have the worst QB situations right now. Where do you put Oklahoma State and Texas Tech in the Big 12 hierarchy? Where does that go for you guys? Because I have a thought on ours, and I want to see if you guys agree.
Off the top of my head, I would put Avery Johnson ahead. I'd put Jalen Daniels ahead. I'd put Shador ahead.
No,
I'm
but,
looking at like
situation as
Jalen
a
Daniels had a terrible half season.
Fair, totally fair.
He was leading the country in picks through like 6 games.
I'd put us like 9th, 10th out of 16th.
It's I don't know. It's hard. I mean, this is the first time, and I don't even know how many years, 8 years you've had a quarterback start every game, through, 10 games. So now the play has not been at the level you want it at. But in terms of situation from top to bottom, I'd probably put us. I mean, because Barron's not great, but he's been serviceable, and so you probably put us between 7 and 10, maybe. I don't know if that's too aggressive, but that's where I'd rank us.
Yeah, I think that's all pretty reasonable. I'd be interested to hear, any of the listeners where you would kind of put our situation. I think you're clearly above the top 4, but I think anything higher than 8th, anything lower than 11th is probably a bit too far on either end. But yeah, when I sat back and looked at it, I'm like, Barron's been good. But when I think about the QB situation going into next year, do I really want the 10th best quarterback in the conference? Like, is that going to be good enough to get you where you want to go? I think Levitt has been way better than I thought he was going to be. Sorsby's has been really good. Shador really good. I think Rocco and Garrett Green are at least dynamic, even if inconsistent. I still think Retzlaff isn't very good. I will die on that take. Jalen Daniels kind of is what he is. Houston probably has a worse quarterback situation than you now. UCF clearly does. Utah clearly does. And then I would say Arizona situationally, I think Fafita's still fine, but right now he's worse. And so I think there's those 4 teams. But then after that, man, it's hard for me to pick you any higher than 8. So
I will
just kind
defend Barron against Jalen Daniels again. He has 8 more touchdowns, 4 less picks, and 600 more yards. The only reason you're saying that is because of Jalen Daniels' name in the preseason. He's not been better than
100%. Well, and his dynamic ability, and his ability to win.
Yeah, his ability to run for sure,
and his ability to win big games. I mean, I know they're 4-6, and we won't have to get. This isn't a Kansas episode. We'll talk, and we do. I know we teased this last episode. We will get into the Texas Tech debate at the end of the season because I have some thoughts on how your seasons are so similar. You just happen to have 2 more wins in them. But Z, tell us why Barron will be able to shred Oklahoma State's defense, though.
Yeah, man. Clayton touched on it. Their coordinator. Let me find his name. Brian Nardo, I think is the guy's name. Yeah, Brian Nardo. So they hired him and they ran a 3-man front last year. And then this year, that's what he knows. That's what he runs, whether you think he's good or not. And then they decided this year that they needed to go back to the 4-man front after recruiting to a 3-man front. And it's just been really weird for them. Not to mention they lost Colin Oliver and Nick Martin, who are absolute studs. I mean, they would be equivalent, if not better, than the Colorado pass rushers. Those guys were absolute monsters for this defense. So losing both of those guys, clearly a big loss. I do not want to gloss over that and how much this has affected the defense. Injuries have just really ravaged them. But on the defensive line, man, like this D-line might be worse than yours. You've got Amon Oates and Cody Walterscheid will kind of be the big guys eating up a lot of the minutes. And then they have a big transfer, Colin Clay. He's going to look really big out there at the nose, but then they're just kind of all over the place. Justin Kirkland's another guy that I think is pretty good and should probably play a little bit more. But after that, man, nobody that you're really super worried about. Not a big pass rush unit that's really going to bother you. The only guy that you really need to keep an eye on the pass rush side is Kendall Daniels in my mind. He's a guy they kind of spun down to linebacker. And then they have a transfer, Obi Eziogbo, who came from D2. And Gundy had that really funny comment about him stepping up. And then, what does it look like for this guy to step up in this position being from D2? And he's like, well, he was the only guy we could afford in the portal, so I hope he's going to be good enough. And it was like, well, okay. At least just put it how it is. But yeah, those guys, none of them are just really that good. Colin Oliver was just a really, really good player. In the backfield, Corey Black's going to be a really good cornerback for them. After that, it's guys like Trey Rucker, Cam Smith, maybe Lyric Rawls comes back. You're not entirely sure. All of these guys are just Jags. They're fine. None of them are like, oh, dude, you have to go pick on this guy. But none of these players, they're all really experienced, but none of them are really that good. That's no disrespect to a lot of these guys. It's just not going to be at the same level that you saw with Colorado's defensive backs, with Baylor's defensive backs, TCU's defensive backs, Iowa State's defensive backs. This will be the worst defense you've seen in this little 4-game stretch, and I think by a fairly significant margin. Some of the other notes, just from an analytics perspective, just has been a very, very poor defense. I think this defense is worse than yours. I think the analytics would bear that out. It's just been really, really tough for them, moving and kind of making things happen. The defensive success rate is 109th in the country at 43.6%. So people are moving the ball fairly effectively and having successful plays against them. Bad against the pass, bad against the rush. They're truly horrific against the rush. 130th. You should be able to run all over this game. I think if Taj is ever going to have a 200-yard game, it's going to be in this one. They've been bad on early downs, giving up 0.14 EPA per play. That's good for 127th in the country. And then their third down success rate is almost 50%. That's good for 115th in the country. The only really good thing that they do is they sometimes don't let you get super close on average third down distance. That's 65th in the country. But everything else, just bad. Like, when you have the color coded charts and like red is bad and green is good, there's like no green on the defensive side. You're very familiar with that. I've looked at ours and it's like a lighter shade of red. Theirs is like a really dark shade of red. It's a bad defense.
Which is why Texas Tech will murder Oklahoma State. The blood will be out in Stillwater on Saturday.
And they have guys like this was basically the same defense that went to the Big 12 title game last year, absent those obviously two really key pieces. And also, DJ McKinney, who went to Colorado. But man, it has not worked for Brian Nardo. I am like 95% sure he's getting fired at the end of the year. I'll be shocked if they retain him once the season ends.
Yeah, Clay, what is the level of concern if the offense doesn't move the ball well on Oklahoma State's defense?
I was literally about to say, like, if the offense doesn't look good this week, then I will have serious concerns about pretty much every aspect of the offense, most likely. Like, this is by far the worst defense we've played since North Texas. You have to be able to put up
100%,
at least 35. Like,
if I'm a QB, like this would be the nightmare scenario if you're Barron, if Will somehow gets started. It's like, oh, perfect. Put the freshman in against the awful defense. But also if you're Will, it's like there's a really good chance Barron looks awesome against this team.
Yeah, agreed. And
Barron is going to start. I mean, there's no question Barron's not playing, and starting this game. So, but what were you saying, Clay?
I was going to say, Zyler also touched on it. Like, we should be able to run the ball on first down, pick up 5 yards, and get into second short, third and short pretty easily, which is when our offense has looked good. I think when our offense looks bad, it's when we can't run on first down and we get into third and long.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It's interesting thinking about that and how good your offense should look against this team, because those are typically the games that maybe we come out and don't play as well as we should. Let me remind you, dear listener, of Abilene Christian University and that horrible night in Lubbock where we let up 51 points and scored 52, but we would have thought that our defense would have stopped them. That's what I meant to say. And so I don't know. It's I thought we would have been able to score on Baylor too, even though Baylor's defense was better. But it'll be interesting to see if we can actually step up to the plate and hit a home run like we think we can. But when are we best? When we can just hand the ball to number 28, let him do his thing. And I feel like Taj, even though he has the record already, is going to get spammed I think he's going to get the ball. He probably carries the ball over 30 times this game. That would be my prediction for that.
Yeah, it's crazy because the pressure to win this game. I mean, you're 6-4, and your goals aren't necessarily in front of you in terms of what you were hoping to achieve probably a couple weeks ago. Yep. But you lose this game, and your season goes from a potential B+ A- if you were to beat West Virginia and go 8-4 for the first time in 15 years to 6-5 and have to beat West Virginia at home just to go 7-5 and finish over 500 in conference again. Like, there's a lot of pressure on this team and on Joey to win this football game.
Yep. Funny stat. I was just looking at their box scores, and they've competed with some good teams. They took BYU down to the wire. They probably should have won that game. They competed with Oklahoma State. The last team that they kept under 38 points was Utah on September 21st. Ever since then, Kansas State scored 42, West Virginia scored 38, BYU scored 38, Baylor scored 38, Arizona State scored 42, and TCU scored 38. They had, oddly enough, they had they had 4 of their last 6 games. Each opponent scored 38 exactly. So I will be very disappointed if you're not above 31 points. That'll be a pretty disappointing result for your offense.
Let me change my prediction real quick to 38-31. Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting game. I mean, I do think they've had a horrible year, and quite frankly, they're just not a good football team. It is a little surprising when they were projected to finish so high in the conference, return pretty much all of their star key players. Brennan Presley, you mentioned. Ollie Gordon was, I think, maybe top 5 Heisman odds to start the year, I believe. And and here they are at 3-8 and 0-7 in the conference. And so you do, or 3-7. And so you do just kind of wonder, like, which team's going to show up for senior day. It's a rivalry game. Do you want to be this team going into Stillwater where they have nothing to play for other than pride, and maybe they come out with that? I don't see that happening. I think this team is trash. I don't think you're going to have much of a problem with this team, but you just don't know. The Big 12 is funky this year. This team did go in and really should have won in Provo. But here we are, and we need the win more than they do. So we'll see what happens with that. Conrad, let's get right into it. Prediction time. What is your prediction? And will Texas Tech be walking out of Stillwater with some Bowman Bomb Kool-Aid?
We are walking into Stillwater with some Bowman Bomb. We're drinking it on the sidelines, and we are driving all the way back to Lubbock, Texas, drinking more Bowman Bombs. I've got Texas Tech winning 52-28. I think we're absolutely going to murder the Cowboys. I think this is the year of all years to get back at them, to kick them while they're down. I absolutely believe that's what we should be doing. I think that the team is going to play really motivated. We're healthier than we were going into the bye. Really needed this bye. I think Taj is going to have maybe a career day. I think Josh Kelly's probably going to get close, maybe 125 or more receiving yards. I think Micah Hudson, if he plays, will probably score his first touchdown. I said that before and I was wrong. I just think this is going to be a big day for you.
That like 4 times.
I think that's been predicting every game. Hudson's been healthy.
Dude, if we actually maybe threw him the ball, maybe he could actually do something, but we don't. So I think we're going to win 52-28. I think we're going to absolutely curb stomp them. I hope I'm right. I'm the Kool-Aid man. What else could I do against a team that's 0-7 in conference? So 52-28. Give me the Red Raiders over the Cowboys.
Dude, I love that prediction, man. And Joey also mentioned that Vasselin's play, which is interesting. We haven't really heard much of his name all season, but he's a talented receiver that's been kind of waiting to hear that he mentioned Vasselin playing receiver and Hudson going to punt returner, assuming Mike is healthy. I don't really know what to make of that. Before I get in your prediction, do you know anything? Should we be looking into that comment too much, or is that just like a Mike is not fully there?
I think if Micah's healthy, he's going to play. They're going to have some of those gadget plays up they design for him like they do all the time. We've talked about the Hudson thing ad nauseum, but I'm excited to see Kelby get on the field, man. He looks like he could be a good player for you. Kind of fits into that Josh Kelly role a little bit, more of a possession, kind of shifty inside guy. But I'll be interested to see what they have for him.
Just wanted to see that. So, or go ahead.
The other guy, there's whispers that Jacob Ponton may be getting some looks at left tackle. Now, I don't know that he's quite completely ready. And for those who aren't familiar, that's your true freshman left tackle, the 4-star kid out of the Austin area. But man, if he comes out there and he looks okay, I'm going to be so, that would solve so many problems for you next year. If you have, oh, sweet, we get this kid another year in the weight room, we have us a tackle, and you secure one of those spots for next year, that'd be awesome. Now, I don't expect that. The other guy that is maybe expected to push Sterling Porcher, who I don't know if you guys saw this, but for all P5 linemen with over 200 snaps, Sterling Porcher has graded out as the worst one in the entire country. So Zyler Buchanan vindicated on thinking Sterling Porcher was not going to be an asset for you this year. No offense, Sterling, come on the pod. We'd love to hear from you. But
no, we wouldn't.
Yes, Sterling. Tell us.
Sterling.
No.
Sterling, come debate me.
Yeah, tell us why you're 200 out of 200, my guy. We'd love to hear it.
Yep.
All right, Z, go ahead and tell us what you think about the game this weekend.
Yeah. So, fun facts. This is the first time in 15 consecutive matchups that you'll play Oklahoma State and they're not ranked in the top 25. You've played them 15 times in a row and they have been ranked all of those times. That's kind of crazy.
Wow.
You're 6-3 against them when they're unranked. So that's a good thing in your favor. You did snap a 9-game losing streak to them in 2018. You have only beaten them 3 times in Stillwater in the Big Ten era, with your last win outside of that one in 2018 coming in 1997. No, you beat them in 2001 and then you beat them in 1997. So you don't win often in Stillwater. It wouldn't surprise me to see this offense put up a ton on you. I mean, your defense has not been very good. They have receivers. They can hit explosive plays. Maybe Ollie Gordon has a really big game. Maybe their offensive line turns it on. I won't be shocked if Oklahoma State wins it. I feel like Tech has a really good shot here, but the people who know the sport better than me only have this as a 3.5-point game. That's pretty much a coin flip. That being said, I think you're going to run it all over him. I think Taj has a career day. I think he does really well. I think you're going to score quite a few points. I think Kitley's crutch, whenever he can't figure stuff out, is just hand the ball to 28. And I think that's going to be more effective than it was, against Baylor, against TCU, and against Colorado. You never know off the bye week. Gundy's a clever coach. He's done this a lot longer than Joey has, and he's sure as heck has done it a lot longer than Kitley has. That being said, I'm all in. I think we got this game. I feel really good about it. I'm going to take us 42-21.
Come on, man. And that's saying a lot, Z. I don't know if there's been a lot of 3-score games for you picking Texas Tech to win. So
I may regret
that's something
that.
you should take to the bank. No regrets. It's happening for sure.
I would look dumber than you, even if you're wrong. So
I don't want to think about what the fan base is going to be like if we lose this game or somehow get blown out in this game. It is going to be absolute chaos.
Oh, dude, Monday's episode will not be pleasant.
We're not going to think about that, but
yeah,
man, that would be oof.
Yeah, Clay, I want, before I go to you, you mentioned Ponton, so I just want Red Raider fans to picture this. You've got a true freshman potential, and let's just talk star power, youth star power. What do you need to be successful on the offensive side? You need a good quarterback, a good left tackle, dynamic running backs, and a stud receiver. What do you have that is all potential getting meaningful snaps for you this year on a true freshman level? Your left tackle, your quarterback, your 2 running backs, and a receiver. And then Vaslin, I believe, is a redshirt. So in terms of the future of Texas Tech football and what you're seeing, we are getting glimpses of guys that could be studs for you, and you might see them more against West Virginia. So really, keep an eye out on this. Obviously we want the outcome of the game to go great, but look at the future. I'm sure we'll see more Jacoby Williams. I'm sure we'll see more Cameron Dickey. Hopefully we get Vaslin, Hudson, Aiken still young, and then Ponton. So, and there's some guys on the So keep an eye on some of these guys in the future of what you could be seeing in 2025 and beyond. It's really exciting if you're a Texas Tech fan. Clay, prediction.
Great point.
Yeah, I also feel pretty good about this game. I honestly think their bye week came at the worst time for them. Like their season has been going off the rails for a while, and they just got eliminated from bowl contention, and you have a bye right after that. I think it could be easy as a player to just kind of lose focus on the season. I mean, they really have nothing else to play for other than, senior day, whatever. Obviously, Mike Gundy is a really good coach. He could prove me wrong. But I also think Zach Kelly's really smart. I think off a bye, offensive coaches tend to have a good game plan. So I expect us to have a good offensive performance. So I'm going to go with Tech 45, OSU 30.
Okay, so that's 3 double-digit wins we've got here. And this is not, as I go to my prediction, which will also be a double-digit win, this is not Colorado where we all kind of picked us because we were all going to be at the game and we wanted Texas Tech to win and we were hoping for the outcome that we didn't get. I truly believe the 4 of us think that Texas Tech will, as Conrad so perfectly said, curb stomp Oklahoma State this weekend. I have Texas Tech 48, Cowboys 31. I think you're going to show out. This is a statement game. I know it's hard to say like this game matters to you. We're all really disappointed that you started 5-1 and here you are 6-4 with really the TCU loss and the Colorado loss and different things that have happened. But you want to be 7-4 going into Lubbock next week. What that means for your program and the potential to go 8-4 for the first time in 15 years matters. So this is very important. It is a meaningful game. I think Joey knows that. I believe these kids want to get there. They know what 8-4 means, even though it wasn't their end of season goal. I think Texas Tech comes out strong. Oklahoma State, again, I just don't think they're a good football team. And I think you showed that you're better than them, which hasn't really happened at all in the Big 12 this year. But I think this is the game, rivalry game, where you say, no, we are better than this football team. We are going to beat this football team. So I have us winning by 17. And I'm going to stick to that. Murder in Stillwater. Someone needs to call the crime scene. Clayton will be there. You can do some of the blood swaps. It's done. Lock it in. Red Raiders. Texas Tech's winning this football game. Anything else to add to this? I mean, that was a phenomenal. I mean, Conrad, you got anything?
I just need to say this just because you brought it to my mind when you said the word, the ick for me. Colorado. I am the biggest Kansas fan on Saturday you have ever seen. Rock chalk, baby. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey,
the Buffaloes.
Do you have something there in that room with you by chance that you might be able to show the people watching on YouTube?
No. We're rock chalk all day, baby. So no, I think Tech will. It's so hard to be optimistic as a Tech fan because of how many times we've been, let down. But based on all the facts and all the how this season has gone for you and them, I just can't imagine it being an 18 to 22-year-old not going to a bowl, being very motivated, to Clayton's point. So I just don't. I don't know how they're going to come out and play. Maybe they give it their all for a quarter, but I think it really helps them, or helps us, like you said, Clayton, that they're coming off a bye and they just don't have anything left. And so they should just let us win the game. I don't know if they'll do that, but if they did, that'd be really, really nice for us.
This is much more of a can't lose game for Joey than a must win. This is just one of those things that a win here would go a long way in not getting the masses riled up. Sets you up to, have a good season beating West Virginia next week. Lose here, and it feels very, very disappointing.
That's kind of why I said I feel like this would go from what could be like a B plus season if you were to win the next two to pretty quickly a C minus. And you're talking about not seats getting hot, but I do believe the fan base and people on RRS and people on Tech Twitter and all this would be the most pissed they have been all year if you lose this game, I think, by far. I think you hit it on the head, Z. You can't lose this game. The other games you lost, this game you cannot lose.
I know, but I just think about it. It's Gundy. He's a good coach. He's he's a salty dog, man. He is.
If you lose this game, the noise around this program, it may not be high. I don't know. But tell me what y'all think. Would it be higher than the after the loss around to Wyoming at Wyoming? Would the frustration be worse at this point than that? I know that was terrible. I'm just asking a question. I don't know. I'm just asking.
I personally don't think so, but I mean, people would definitely be pissed. But I genuinely don't think Joey's tenure will ever have a loss that bad.
Yeah.
In terms of how mad the fan base was, because we had been told all offseason, oh, this is a contender. You bring everyone back. You have a bunch of seniors. and your first game you lose to a Mountain West opponent.
Yeah.
I don't think this would be that bad.
The counter to that would be the fact that it's more of a rival in their 0-7 in conference. Like if to all of Z's stats on like how few times you've beaten them, how much they've been ranked, how many times they've come in and I mean, I was at the game in 2013, I believe, and they scored 59 on you in Lubbock. They had a 66-6 win, I believe. Yeah, in Lubbock. Like this team has murdered you at times. And we're saying that word a lot tonight, but like they have. Like it has been just like embarrassing. And so to finally get them 0-7 and have them in a really down year where you're favored to win and you don't get them, oh, dude, I don't know. Like just because of how much we can't stand Oklahoma State and how much they've embarrassed you in the past, I feel like this means more. Being Big 12, I'd be more frustrated. Like the Wyoming game didn't ruin your season because you had the Big 12 play. It ruined the perception of your season, but it didn't like ruin the opportunity you had for the season. This game, I think, ruins your season. Like I think this game goes, wow, like now we can't win 8 games. It's another middle average season, and you lost to a team that's 0-7 in a conference. Like this would hurt me more.
Yeah. I wish OSU had one Big 12 win because I just find it impossible to believe that Gundy will not win a Big 12 game. And their next game's against Colorado, and I'm just like, oh, dude, are the omens? Should I be seeing this? And I don't know. Yeah,
we'll own it. We'll own it. We're here saying,
I will look back on this game either way and say this was so clearly obvious. How did I not see that coming? It doesn't matter if we win by 20 or lose by 20. Like. Yeah.
Well, you're projecting us to win by 20, so you saw it coming if we end up winning by 20.
I saw it coming.
Yeah. UZ, one thing, too, for fans, you had mentioned the Big 10. It was the Big 12. We know with realignment, conferences are changing. But, I'm confident there's a Colorado fan that is watching every episode we post just for the opportunity to roast us and say we're wrong. So I wanted to save you the embarrassment from.
Thank you. I do appreciate that.
I know that what's his face, Blackface 2929 or whatever his username was.
Blackface 438. If you're out there,
you go. Yeah, yeah. I know he's watching, so just wanted to save you the trouble. So okay, well, there's our predictions. Go ahead,
Coach Prime. If you're watching this, we know you are. Shadur, man, this is perfect timing for a loss. That's all I've got to say. Rock chalk, baby. Let's go.
We're going there right now. We're going to go there real quick, but because we got some basketball to get into. But power rankings. This is our Broadway Shuffle power rankings as we head into Week 12. Z, I'll throw it to you, man. Why don't you tell our listeners where we think the Big 12 stacks up heading into this weekend?
Yeah, I think very clearly a top 4 in our mind: Colorado, BYU, Iowa State, Arizona State. Those are kind of the remaining contenders for the Big 12 title. Colorado and BYU obviously on the inside track there. Baylor up to 5th. They've played really well. They deserve to be that. They could potentially deserve to be ranked higher than that. K-State down at 6. TCU and Tech 7 and 8, kind of interchangeable there in my mind. West Virginia at 9. Kansas at 10. Cincinnati at 11. Houston at 12. Man, shout out to the Houston football program. I thought there was almost no way they wouldn't be last place this year, but yet here they are. UCF all the way down to 13. Arizona at 14. Congrats on moving out of the basement. Utah at 15, and then the Oklahoma State Cowboys, the winless Oklahoma State Cowboys in Big 12 play, sitting down there at 16.
This is a perfect game for Oklahoma State to win. This just makes sense.
You can't
just makes sense.
You cannot lose to the cellar. Kansas has been there, Houston's been there, and oh man, just do not let this happen, please, Joey. We beg you from the Broadway Shuffle.
Dude, I can already see. I can see like a 4th and 4 on our own 45 in the 4th quarter, and we're all like, whatever decision we choose, I know it's going to be the wrong one. Like I just know it.
I will say, if we, because I don't know if our listeners have seen yet the uniform reveal for Saturday. We're wearing the all whites with the terrible looking Gladiator Patrick Mahomes logo. If we lose 2 straight games wearing that logo on our chest, we should never wear it again. Pat, we love you. We want you on the pod. I know you're a subscriber, but we don't want to wear your logo if we can't do it proud. And if we lose 2 straight, and I think we need to have some serious uniform considerations because we got to be superstitious like that. So maybe it'll work out for us. We'll be 1-1 in the Gladiator logo, but you never know.
I want to speak for the Broadway Shuffle and say that we will continue to wear the Gladiator logo. Please continue to give money. We appreciate you.
Yes, and dude, it's crazy that 12 weeks into our show, we started this back in August, that Shadur, Dion, and Pat are listeners and subscribing. How quickly did we think fame would reach us? What
I know.
what a humble blessing we are to be so famous so quick. Okay, well, let's get into some quick predictions here at the Big 12. Clay, I'll go to you first. Colorado at Kansas. You're the Kansas hater. You've been all year. I'm starting to jump on their bandwagon a little bit as they, push for the quest to 6 wins. Prediction here: Colorado at Kansas. You think Kansas is going to win a 3rd straight ranked win?
No, I do not. I think Colorado wins pretty easily, double digits. I'm not a Kansas believer. They shouldn't have beaten BYU. They got extremely lucky, and I think Colorado beats them pretty easily.
Z?
Yeah, I'm going to take Colorado, and I think they kind of roll.
Conrad.
Like I said earlier, Shadur, Dion, Travis, Shiloh, and the rest of the Colorado internet fans, this is a perfect time for a loss to the Kansas Jayhawks. They have a deafening home field advantage, I hear, in Arrowhead Stadium. We'll see what happens. That's more of a hope pick for me, but let's go Kansas. Why not? Anything can happen.
Dude, I called Kansas beating Iowa State. I picked them to beat BYU. I'm not like a home Kansas football.
Dude.
I just think they're like better than 4-6. I think they're like the best 4-6 team ever. And I think they're going to beat Colorado. Like this team I just feel like the Colorado hype, I just don't see it sustaining itself. Like,
dude,
I don't know. I think it's more.
Can't
I think
wait.
it's more my dislike for Colorado, Conrad, to your point, than like my hype for Kansas. But I think they're beatable.
Exactly.
Like I don't think that Kansas can't beat them, and I think they're going to find a way to upset them. And maybe that's just my heart speaking, but nonetheless, is where I'm going.
If Colorado does make the playoff, I want to see them play. I don't know who they'd play. Maybe a Georgia if they keep winning, and I just want to see them get absolutely murdered again, to use that term. I want to see a TCU Georgia game because I just don't. This is a hot take, but the SEC is just so much better than Big 12. It's not even funny. Sorry, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to call it how I see it. And so I would love to see if they do make the playoff, them play a school like that that's just bigger, faster, stronger. And, you never know what could happen. I don't know if that'll actually be the matchup they get if they do get in, but would love to see it happen for my pure entertainment. And Colorado fans, I will be coming after you. I know we won't be in the playoff, but it's still fun. It's still fun when we talk about true fandom.
We'll be coming after you from the Liberty Bowl. So we look forward to it. All right, this game, crazy. If you would have told me back in August that at the end of November, Arizona State and BYU will be playing for a potential spot in the Big 12 championship game, I would not have believed you. But that is where we're at. If Arizona State beats BYU, they will overtake them. And I don't know if they have the tiebreaker with Iowa State, but they will now overtake BYU and essentially knock them out of the playoff. Do the Sun Devils pull it off, Z?
Oh, dude, I don't know. This is easily the best game in the Big 12 slate this week. I'm looking at the notnothing.net Big 12 tournament seed generator. So if Arizona State wins out and BYU and Iowa State both win out, it looks like Arizona State has the tiebreaker based on the record versus common conference opponents all played equal times. They're 4-0. I just have no idea who those common conference opponents are. So there may be some confounding variables in the teams that I have picked to win. So I guess if Iowa State or Arizona State beats BYU and all the favorites win out, the rest of their games, Arizona State would go to the Big 12 title with Colorado. So
crazy.
Wild to think that you beat them.
Yeah.
Dude, I think Arizona State has a shot. Yeah, I definitely.
Wow. Clay?
Yeah, I've been struggling with this game. I think I'm leaning Arizona State. I feel like BYU has been playing with fire all year, and last week it came back to bite them. They're a good team. I don't think that they're good enough to go 11-1. So I'll give them another loss. I think Arizona State wins.
Wow.
Also,
Conrad, or Z, go ahead.
The playoff committee has been wildly disrespectful to Arizona State. Clearly one of the most disrespected teams, and Ward Manuel is going to be my Tommy Tuberville of the week. It doesn't matter what happens next week. That guy has no idea what he's doing on the playoff committee. Has no idea. Has no system, no structure. It's basically we watch the game and judge based on vibes. And that is the worst kind of playoff commission. It's awful.
I can't wait to hear the rant on Monday's episode. It'll be awesome. So
it's genuinely terrible.
Conrad, Arizona State or BYU?
Yeah, the Sun Devils are going to stick that pitchfork right into the Cougars' neck, and they're gonna beat the Cougars. They're just going to do it. That stadium, man, it's going to get wild. Tempe, man, it's going to be different down there this week. I can't even remember the last time that Arizona State had a competent, good football team, and they have one this year. Now they did lose to the Red Raiders, so we're going to flex our muscles there on that one. But I do think that BYU, I think they're a good team, but I don't think they're as good as people thought they were. So I'm gonna go with the Sun Devils to get that done.
Yeah, hey, dude. From now on, all your predictions, I want graphic depictions about how the other mascot is murdering the other team.
Massacre, murder, nuking, whatever you want to call it, man. We're here for that on the Broadway Shuffle.
We're here to paint mental pictures of what's going to happen on the field with the mascots. Because the mascots, I think the mascots do really tell you a lot about the school. Like a cougar. I guess that's kind of cool. Sun Devil. That tells you that they're, it's hot out there. It's, it just tells you a lot about the school. We could talk about some other mascots, but we'll leave that for an off-season episode.
What does the BYU cougar entail? What does that mean to you, Conrad?
I don't know. They're up there in Utah in the mountains. I guess there's some cougars up there. I don't know if the cougar is necessarily a sacred animal in Mormon theology. I don't think it is, but you never know, man. Mormons change their beliefs every couple decades, so you never know what they'll do with the cougar in 20 years.
Conrad, do you know any cougars personally?
No, I do not.
You don't know any BYU grads?
Dude, come on.
No, I do not. I do not.
I know a couple cougars, man. I've hung out with some cougars a time or two. Those BYU people,
Brennan,
they're awesome.
That's your demographic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more my scene. Okay, well, the only other game that, and hey, we're recording. You're going to get this on a Thursday morning. We're recording on a late Wednesday, so excuse us for getting a little wild here on a Wednesday night, but we appreciate it. Iowa State.
It's Christmas behind me as well. If y'all can't see the double T's,
I love what's going on.
I'm in the Christmas spirit.
Yeah. So Iowa State at Utah is really the only other game that really matters in terms of potential Big 12 championship odds. And any chance there that you would find a way to pull off an upset? No, we're all going no. I'm going no too. I just don't see it with Utah. So it's going to come down to the last week of the year in the Big 12. It's wild. And Iowa State and Kansas State are that last game for them. So it's going to be interesting, man. I can't wait for the last weekend of the Big 12. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. Same with the SEC. I think there's like 6 teams in the SEC right now that could technically make the title game. And those tiebreakers are all over the place. It's nuts. So it does still, as we leave football and go to basketball, it does still really hurt looking at these standings, knowing if you just beat TCU, you are still right there. You're right there, because you have the tiebreaker over Iowa State. You got it over Arizona State
and Iowa State.
And so you're just a BYU loss or a Colorado loss from being right in it, man. And that is awkward as this season has been, is a good word I like to use. You still were there. You had a chance, and hopefully you can go 8-4. So, all right. Well, tonight, Texas Tech basketball is taking on St. Joe's at the Barclays Center. First real test. St. Joe's isn't anything to necessarily just ignore, but they're definitely the best team you've played so far. Guys, basketball team, they're putting up 90 a game. JT Toppin looks legit. Kevin Overton, Conrad, your boy, looked smooth.
My guy.
Your guy against, who is Monday? Arkansas Pine Bluff, off the bench. And so, man, this team looks athletic. They can shoot the rock. What are our initial thoughts of the basketball team, and what are our expectations heading into this mini holiday tournament? Clay, I'll start with you first.
Yeah, I really like what I've seen from the team so far. It's early in the season and could drop, but to me, it looks like the best offensive team we've had since pre-Beard era. I don't even know when the last one would be. The shooters we have on this team, I'm pretty sure Chance McMillan is shooting close to 70% from 3, which will obviously regress, but even through the 4 games, that's crazy. I'm just hoping that UT beats Syracuse so we get a chance to play them.
Yep. And they could get Tremont Mark back, which would help them a lot. Yeah, Clayton, I completely agree with you. JT, when he gets the ball down low, it's pretty much a guaranteed bucket. He is awesome. Chance McMillan is 8th in the country in offensive rating, and that's not adjusted for like possessions or anything like that. So like a walk-on comes in, hits 1 3-pointer, like that guy's going to have an O rating that's absolutely nuts. So on his usage and percentage of possessions, which is 14.1%, to have an O rating of almost 170 is quite frankly ludicrous. Nobody on St. Joe's team has anybody that even ranks in the top 500. You have 5 guys that are in the top 350. So yeah, you're really, really good. St. Joe's is going to be a challenge though. Eric Reynolds, a decent player, somebody you're going to have to watch out for. Xavier Brown, that's going to be the other kind of guard that leads them. None of these guys have been excellent 3-point shooters. They're going to have some size inside. Rasheer Fleming's a guy that you need to watch out for. And then Justice Jogbor, I think is how you say it. He's a pretty good player. Very good rim protector. You shouldn't have a problem with this team, but expect this to be like a 12 to 8 point game, something like that, where hopefully you get going a little bit of a run, and you kind of keep your arm's length from them at all times. They've been susceptible to the 3. That's not something that should excite you if you're a St. Joe's fan, because we will absolutely bomb it on you if you let us. So they should, potentially watch out for that. They've been giving up more, 32% of teams' points come from the 3-point line when it comes against St. Joe's defense. Obviously very early in the season. But yeah, I think you should win this game and set yourself up nicely for a matchup with either Texas or Syracuse. They lost to Central Connecticut earlier this year by 6 at home. That's a horrific loss. Team ranked 247th in KenPom. And then they went out and beat Villanova afterwards. So kind of inconsistent team. You'll kind of see what we get in our first real test.
Yeah, dude, one thing I noticed about this team, Clayton and I were watching the Pine Bluff game on Monday, and it's like the camaraderie you're already seeing. I mean, the ball movement, the unselfishness, the playing together, just the helping on defense. Like, this team looks like they've been playing together for a couple of years. Like, it looks like they love playing with each other. They understand each other's games. They understand each other's flaws really well. I think they know where to put their teammates in position on the court to optimize their success. I mean, Chance McMillan was shooting, I think, what was it, like 69% from 3 so far this season? It's like nuts. It's crazy what he's doing. And so this is something like, this isn't just a homer, be excited for this year. Like, be excited for this year. The Big 12's tough. You're going to go through a gauntlet, but this is a very good team that can make a run in March. And I think for the basketball fans and for Texas Tech, I mean, Texas Tech in New York on what is that game? Would it be on a Saturday or would it be right after on a Friday?
It's the Friday night game.
It's the Friday night game. Yeah. So, man, I mean, that would just be so fun for your program to get Texas and Texas A&M in the same season after they've left your conference. You don't get to play them anymore. But to get those and to get both of those schools in your non-conference slate early in the season would be awesome. And so I'm hoping that helping. I hope the basketball gods are on our side and they make that happen and we find a way to beat UT as well. And man, that'd be fun to talk about on Monday. So, Conrad, thoughts on the basketball season, man?
Guys.
On your boy KO, and I mean, dude, what's the Kool-Aid factory going to look like for basketball this year?
You read my mind, Brendan. We are in the middle of constructing a brand new facility to build to produce all of the new flavors for basketball. They'll be a little different. They'll have a little twist to them. But the first flavor that we need to have for the basketball team needs to be a tribute to our best player that we may have had in a long time. It's Toppin T. JT Toppin is
I really thought you were going Avery Benson.
Yeah, no. Avery was my underrated player one of the best underrated players. No, but you look at this team, Toppin T. That's something that's going to be on demand all year. It's going to be produced at high quantities. I think it's probably going to be our best seller. So JT, if you're watching this, and we know you are, as you're preparing for the game tomorrow night or tonight, let us know how many cases you need. We'll comp it to you for free. But I think on a serious note too, all the pain and the frustration that we've experienced with football this year, just speaking to the 2024 season so far and looking ahead to the whole basketball season, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. KenPom has us ranked 10th right now. Elijah and Christian Anderson have really seemed to get more into the flow after missing the first couple games, being hurt.
Yeah.
This team is really, really good. It's obvious when you watch them, they can shoot the ball, like has already been mentioned. But I think the biggest ingredient to a successful team, and even something Avery talked about on his interview with us, is that those teams, that 2018, 2019 team, they just loved playing with each other. They cared about each other. The camaraderie was really good. Like Brennan already mentioned, that's something that seems to be evident in this year's team. I think you have, quite frankly, I'll say it, a better coach. At least his character is miles better than the one we had, who we may get to play his alma mater on Friday night if we win and they win. He obviously will not be there because of some character mishaps that he had down there on the 40 acres. But, we won't talk about that too much. But if we could do that, that'd be great to see what we could do against a team like Texas, who is a good basketball program overall.
Yeah, it'll be fun, man. I'm looking forward to it. And we'll see what happens. So, and it's going to be tough because basketball, there's going to be a lot of games this year where you're going to lose. I mean, that's the nature of basketball, right? So it's different than football where it's like, man, this sucks. Like there's good losses in basketball. Sometimes there's bad wins in basketball. Like you beat St. Joe's by 2, it might hurt your actual like net rating. So, you want to take these games in November with a grain of salt. You want to peak. Basketball is very much about peaking at the right time. The 2019 team peaked at the right time. And actually the loss against West Virginia in that Big 12 tournament game kind of helped them just reset themselves for that run. So, nothing to be too worried about if you kind of drop a game or don't look as smooth here. That's not really what it's about. But what you have enough on this roster that you have nothing to worry about. I'm very confident you'll be around come March and you'll be playing meaningful games in the field of 68. So,
One thing on that West Virginia game, sorry, before you close, I remember just speaking on Beard tactics that were just completely out of this world. After they lost that game, Beard told the team that they were at danger of missing the tournament because of how bad of a loss that was. That basically knocked you down from a 2 seed to like one of the highest 3 seeds. And Beard was telling people that there was a chance we missed the tournament.
Yeah. Moron. But, that guy obviously doesn't know what he's talking about. All right, Steve, end with your tech trivia question of the day.
Yeah, this one's super simple. Texas Tech and Oklahoma State been competitors for a really, really long time. Both of us have gone on significant winning streaks against each other. Oklahoma State's obviously much more recently than ours. The series is separated by 1 game. Do you know who currently leads in the football series between Texas Tech and Oklahoma State?
I'm going to go the Cowboys just because of the recency bias, I guess, and that they've probably flipped it in the last 17 years.
I'll guess Tech.
Conrad?
I'm going to go Tech as well.
Brennan, congratulations. The Cowboys lead the series by 1 total game. If you win this weekend, you will tie the all-time series with Oklahoma State. A perfect rivalry for the new Big 12. Make it happen every year, Yormark. We're begging you.
It's meant to be. The Red Raiders will win in Stillwater. I'm betting my mortgage on it. No,
they will murder in Stillwater.
The theme of the episode. Well, man, that was a lot of fun. We'll be back on Monday to react to the basketball weekend as well as the game in Stillwater. So if you're going out to the game, Clay, I know you'll be out there. Enjoy any Red Raiders going out there. Have a ton of fun. Make sure the true guns up and Raider power, the correct chants are being had there in Stillwater, and we will hope for a win. So again, it helps us a lot. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, check us out wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Apple, I don't know, Amazon, if you're into that kind of thing. Is that it? Okay. Good to know. And then watch us on YouTube, man. YouTube is where we like to post most of our content. And you get to look at our faces and make fun of us a little bit too, as the Colorado fans have made very popular. So we appreciate you for checking us out. We'll be back on Monday. Enjoy the basketball and football this weekend, and Wreck 'em Tech.